missed it yesterday. Let's talk about something else that just happened last night, okay? And it is major. It is the opinion, Judge June's opinion. And recall last night on the show when we had Aidan Carney on the show, who was, I will say, a pleasure to have on, an absolute pleasure to have on. He answered every single question we had. He was gracious. He was respectful. And you watched him. We had about 10,000 people watching Aidan. All right. We here at Justice Serve TV have come to determine that we support him. All right. Because of the work he is doing. But let's talk about this opinion. As you know, Jason Grant, the lead plaintiff in the name of the suit, was on TV the other night. He, and along with Michael Bryant, along with Tommy DeRozier, and you heard John Matus, the other local attorney in Massachusetts who does First Amendment work, Mark Randazzo, the Center for Liberty, who is supporting everyone on this case. Erica Walsh, who was walking down the sidewalk wearing a sweatshirt that said criminals run Norfolk County, which is something you could buy on Richie's site, Microdots TV. Let's hear. Here's the memorandum. We weren't sure it was coming down because we knew that Judge June was going to be away on vacation. But it's forevermore going to be Jason Grant versus the trial court of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Beverly J. Cannoni, okay? And then Jeffrey Noble, the superintendent of the Massachusetts State Police, along with the town of Dedham, and Michael Morrissey in his official capacity. Jason, by the way, we're going to try to get him on our show tonight about 6:45. We have Stephen Plord, the Accident Reconstructions, on our show till 6 o'clock. At 6 o'clock tonight, and we're going to try to get Jason back along with Mr. Matus back. But they talk about, this is just the first page. We can go to the second page about the suit that was filed. And Jason was wearing a biblical verse from Corinthians, all right, which just talked about freedom. And he's been going there every week since November of last year. Can we get to the second page or not? If we can get to the second page, that would be great, of the memorandum opinion. And the judge recounts the buffer zone orders. Now, let me cut to the chase. I will go to the last page because we will have time later on to do this to do every single page. And I think it's very important if we do every single page. But let's go to the conclusion. For the reasons shown above, plaintiff's motion, that's plaintiff Jason Grant and the other two, and it also applies, by the way, to Michael Bryant's case and Tommy DeRozier case. The judge made that very clear. The motion for temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction is denied and in part and granted in part. Now, what does that mean? That means that he found the buffer zone can stay, but the enforcement in the buffer zone, goodbye, so long, farewell. Law enforcement officers are enjoined from enforcing the buffer zone orders in ways that are inconsistent with this decision. Prior to enforcement, law enforcement officers must be able to clearly articulate without speculation how any individual violated the buffer zone orders consistent with this decision. Now, what he said was Erica Walsh's sweatshirt, which just had criminals run Norfolk County. Fine, no problem. She can walk in the buffer zone up and down all she can. You can't have a FKR because the judge held that FKR comes to stand free Karen Reed, and that can't happen. Of course, if you're supporting Robert Kennedy, I guess you could have an RFK there, and they can't do anything about that. All right. And this is very important because it also held that, that Jason Grant could have his sign in the buffer zone. He doesn't have to worry about stepping off the sidewalk. And it also said that that the most important thing for us, for Michael Bryant, who was one of the early plaintiffs in the case with Tommy DeRozier, Tommy CPU, by the way, who now really has a case against the Massachusetts State Police for picking him up and bashing him down. They could go, all the journalists, anyone gathering information to put on news and to put on to mediaize it, I'm going to say, and that's us. That's Justice Serve TV. That's Michael Bryant. All right, are free to go in the buffer zone at any time and do whatever gathering they have, okay? So I want to applaud Michael Bryant because even though he is my partner, remember, he started this when, it could have gone either way. If you recall, I was on the air when he was through the buffer zone with Tommy DeRozier and Mr. Delgado, and Delgado had something ripped off his jacket. Tommy DeRozier also was told that he couldn't come in the buffer zone. But Michael J. Bryant, Trooper Hardman, said to him, he said, I've seen you go past here 5 times. I don't want to see you walk this sidewalk again. I am, those are not the exact words, but that was the tone, that if he came back, Michael would have been arrested. All right. Michael did come back. All right. And he did go into the buffer zone to get statements from Karen Reed when she was leaving the court. And we had, as you know, we had some statements that were given just to him with his Justice Turf TV mic, not in the whole scrum. So, but now he can go back freely when he goes back Wednesday of next week and Thursday of next week. And he was discussing that he was a little worried because, you know, they're just arresting people. They didn't care. Well, now they can't. They can't arrest Michael Bryant. They can't arrest Tommy DeRozier. They can't arrest anyone as long as they're in the buffer zone and they're expressing their free speech with something that doesn't say Karen Reed on it, that particularly applies to Karen Reed. This is a huge decision that Judge June had. Now, while I'm sure everyone would like the buffer zone not to be 200 feet, but it means that everyone with the lounge chairs can go into the buffer zone and say, you know, we are protesting government. Government is too big. Government in Norfolk County is wrong. I mean, if you want to go to Richie and Microdot sites and buy his merch that says framed, I think that's okay. Although maybe a little more questionable, but certainly criminals control Norfolk County. You could have 100 people wearing that sweatshirt. That's no problem. You just can't make noise. You can't disrupt people. And if you're going to start arresting people, you have to have a clearly delineated reason why that arrest happens. Big decision. I applaud the Center for Liberty, who out in Las Vegas, who supported Mark Randazzo, who supported Michael Bryant of Justice Serve TV, who supported Tommy DeRozier, who supported all of these plaintiffs that felt the need to go against big government, against our First Amendment rights. We won, okay, which means you won. All right. And you should be thankful for them, applaud them, really, you know, go to Tommy's site. Tell him you thank him. Go to Mark Randazzo's site. If you can find yourself to give a donation, I know he's going to put out a link to them. People outside demonstrate. Now, let me see if I can read to you exactly the portion of what the court said. Hold on a second. Oh my gosh. The court said, you know, the buffer zone as applied was unconstitutional. You know, but a woman's sweatshirt with the words "criminals control Norfolk County" does not violate the state's judge buffer zone order, the court found, but the judge ruled that her hat, Free Karen Reed, did. So you can't use that. Taken together, plaintiffs have shown there is a likelihood of success on their claim. So basically what the court ruled, and let me go back and find exactly the wording. Sorry, I have a lot of things open here to be able to tell you this. A second, is that you can, and I wanted to get the actual wording, and I think, okay, we have it up here. All right. Other examples of protected speech would include the following. We demand justice in the courts, fair trials, fair system, accountability of the courts, reform criminal justice. Also permissible are signage and messages that defend the protest's legitimacy without focusing on the trial or its participants. For example, the following would be protected speech. The right to protest is sacred. Dissent is patriotic. Convict Karen Reed would also be an impermissible image. Direct images that convey threats or pressure are not permissible, such as convict or face consequences, no justice, no peace, you've been warned. I think you could probably put no justice, no peace, but not you've been warned. We knew you were live. That can't go. So implied gifts, implied threats can't be protected in the buffer zone. But if you want to protest any type of speech and say, you know, criminals control Norfolk County, or you want to say we demand justice in the courts, or you want to say fair trials, fair system, or you want to say accountability of the courts, or you want to say reform criminal justice system, or you want to have messages, the right to protest is sacred. Dissent is patriotic, or you want to have something like, you know, go First Amendment. First Amendment applies here. Anything that gives you the right to protest against the government without actually protesting the prosecution or of Karen Reed or the defense of Karen Reed is not allowed. So that's pretty clear. Okay, that is pretty clear. So Jason Grant, you are protected. Erica Walsh, you are protected. Michael Bryant, you are protected with our, let me see if I, Justice Serve TV, okay? This is protected, taking interviews with Justice Serve TV in the buffer zone, okay? That is protected. All of those things are protected. That's what the First Amendment was about, to protect the government, right? Or to protest against the government.